We are just doing our post match. The 4-3 debacle against Copenhagen. I went from gutted to being upset, disappointed. You know, I mean, I don't want to talk about lines and stuff. I think we were playing some of our best ball in the beginning. Calling Rashford, questionable red card. I don't know how you saw it, Fisher, but everybody who on the pundits, everybody who's seen it was like, it's even when Scousers are like, that's not a red card. It's just crazy. But
Seven
you can.
stages of grief. 7 stages of grief in my mind. It's almost laughable. Like I was so infuriated, but in the end, it's like we can't control it. We can't control the way that the referees or the sport is being
Officiated.
officiated. Thank you. And it's just laughable. There's nothing we can do about it. It's poor. They weren't looking at all the aspects of the red card, but there's nothing we can do about it. It's what they saw on the pitch. It's what the referee believes that he saw, and there's nothing that anybody can say or do that will change his mind, even if it's wrong or not. And it's you know, in the end, to me, in my mind, it's almost like UEFA wants the Glazers out as well, because they're just rooting against us, and the only way that we're going to get the Glazers out is if we win nothing, and if we go past nothing. We're going to go to the Europa League. Even maybe we're going to go to the Europa League if we get third place, and then they're going to do the same thing to us in Europa, which is root against us, which is fine in my mind. Anything against Glazers out, I mean, for Glazers out against the Glazers is a positive in my mind, because that's all I can say about this, is that everybody's rooting against the Glazers. To me,
Um,
that has to be what it is, because these calls that we're getting are atrocious. It's laughable. It's beyond belief, the calls that we're getting nowadays. So I can't get upset about it. I can't get frustrated about it anymore, because I'm going to lose my mind. So to
uh,
me, it's just laughable, and
well,
and
I'm
and
going to get
that's how I'm
upset.
going to
I'm
treat
going to
it.
get upset. I'm going to get upset and frustrated for you. Uh, oh no, the Wi-Fi went out. That's what's wrong. Fuck. Hopefully, it's still recording. It looks like it's still recording. Oh, anyway,
Yeah, you're still on here, so we're still recording.
um, the AD, can you reset the Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
It went out. Did it go out for you?
Yep.
Fuck. Um, Perfect. It's well. First of all, the VAR decisions have not went with us this year. It's just been
At all.
a crazy thing how it's just punished us. I think right now it's cost us, I think, 6 goals. I put up a stat on the Facebook page about it, but it's just it's I don't know. I hear what you're saying, but it just seems like, I don't know. Maybe because we are playing in the bigger games, or we are always national game, that it just comes off like things are. It just hurts. Like the refs are underneath a lot of pressure. I don't know how to describe it.
There's
But the
no way to
fact that
describe it.
each one costs us tremendously. We don't benefit from VAR. We have never have. Matter of fact, we haven't benefited from since Klopp made his statement last year.
Holland got
But
2 goals to the good. 2 goals to the good. Hoyland got up 2-0,
matter of
and
fact, Holland is
the red card changed everything.
he's the
Poor
first
decision.
he's the first person to be the top scorer in the Champions League and hasn't won any games, which is a crazy stat. The guy
Yeah.
he's banging them in the Champions League. I think he has 4 or 5 goals. I'm not sure, but maybe 4. But we have no wins when it comes to his goals, and it's. I mean, you can okay. We can get mad and blame the red card, but then okay, you're still up 2-0. There's they gave us an extra 13 minutes in the first half from a fan that got sick in the audience, and there was someone who ran on the pitch. Things that were just out of the norm.
Right.
And we go down, we tied up 2-0. Then you figure, okay, let's get organized. Still a lot of game to play. You know, guys, teams practice these situations. They practice these situations when they go down a man and they just put themselves in a situation where they can react to, I don't know, just being down a man. So then you get this situation now where we're fighting. It looks like, well, first of all, let's talk about the first goal we gave up. Was it the one Diego Delo?
Yeah.
When like, he didn't mark the guy.
He
First he
didn't.
looks
He
at the
didn't
guy and then he
follow
loses
back.
them, and then he just
Yeah.
loses all space. Our defense let us down. Delo, Varane, and something's wrong with Varane. He came on the field with attitude. He didn't look like he even wanted to play.
Also, once we went a man down, Bruno tried to go to the right, and he still played forward, and he didn't get back in time for the first cross to play that went from the left pitch to the right pitch, which was the start of everything. Not to say that Bruno was at fault at all, but when you go a man down, Bruno is trying to play to the right as well as the middle, and he just didn't get there in time for them to from the switch left to right, and that was the start of everything. That was the start of our downfall, and it just went, tits up from there.
It just looks like when we went a man down, guys just lost all spatial awareness where they're on the field. I saw Stefan Ehrenbeck came in. To me, he was not a positive addition. He had turnovers. He was out. He was out of position. One time he got away from Maguire for was it the last goal or the third goal? I just can't remember which goal it was, but I specifically saw him get
It's
in
just a
the way
bunch
of
of
Maguire.
fuckery.
But the point is, you're a team that's fighting for your Champions League position. You're fighting to get back in the Champions League, and this happens.
But when
You
everything's built up against you, there's just it's quicksand. There's only so far. There's only so much you can climb up when you're in quicksand, and it just takes over. It just takes you over, and there's nothing you could do about it. And
it,
um, the second penalty on Maguire or Varane, if they're gonna call a penalty, it should be 2 penalties then, because there was 2 handballs. They should give him 2 penalties. After the first one, they should have gotten another one and taken 2 penalties then. If they're gonna call a penalty, there was two handballs in that. And then when they got the handball, they didn't call it. It's just not equal.
what's troubling
It's
about
not consistent. It's not consistent.
it's
But there
definitely
should have
not
been
consistent.
two handballs then on United, because it hit Varane and then it hit Maguire. So they
Yeah.
should have had 2 penalty kicks. They should have taken one, and then there should have been another one. If that's the way they're going to call it, there should have been 2 penalties on United, which is just a bunch of fuckery, because they don't even know what the hell they're doing to call that
And then the
a
first
penalty, because it
goal,
was both of them were deflections. Both of them were deflections off of another player that hit them in the arm. And when it happened against them, they didn't call it. When it happened against Copenhagen, wasn't called.
the first goal is tricky because if there was
Doesn't
a
make
guy
sense.
that was offsides that was in front of the goalie, our goalie Onana.
Yeah.
And they didn't review that. They didn't take the opportunity to look at that, and it's just frustrating. It's frustrating because
Inconsistency.
we were playing good ball in the beginning, and it just feels like what's going to happen now is we're going to get a lot of Eric Ten Hag blame. I think, which is not deserving. I think Rashford's having a tough moment right now in his career, and it's just seems it's not fair that it happened to him. But defensively, we were disgraced. You have to say we're disgraced. I didn't like the substitution for Aaron. I don't know what he provided that Ericsson wasn't doing.
Well,
You know, I,
Amrabat's a better defender than Ericsson because he
yeah, but
tracks
he,
back.
he he came in there and he looked lost.
But
That's
it,
what
but
I'm
he,
saying.
but he came in a match that was already going south from before he even came in, and it's hard to make up for everything that happened when you're coming in halfway through the match or a little bit more than halfway through
He
the
came in.
match.
He came in at half was 2-2, and then we got a lead. I'm telling you, he came in there.
But we were
He
still
didn't.
down a man. We were still already down a man, and it's still hard to come in at halftime already behind because you're not at pace with everybody else because they've been playing for 45 minutes. And I understand what you're saying. He should be able to get to that pace really very quickly, but with the calls that we're getting and the players that we have on the pitch and the players that we don't have on the pitch, it's just there's no excuses. You're right, but I understand why he wasn't at full. I understand why he wasn't at form in the form that he should have been at
It
because it's
just seemed like
just
every point of our
stale.
defense.
The way we play is stale. It's not the way that the new football is being played. We're old school
I think
football
we're not a
still,
team that adjusts as well to adversity, and it's just been like that the whole year.
no,
Anytime, even
and
if
that's
we
not the way that
do,
we're coached.
yeah, I just feel like we're a team can't deal with moments that in the game that are adjusting. For example, you give up one goal, you've got to figure out a way to fight it. Oh, Michael's saying, I didn't. You read that for me, please. Or maybe you're probably drunk. Let
Uh,
me read it. Starting the second half, well, organized fell apart with the pressure. Credit to Copenhagen. They forced the defense to scramble and exploit the overload.
yeah, they exploited our one.
Well, that's what they were supposed to do. But,
Right?
their coach came out with a quote. He said that
They gave it to him. They
basically
gave
they
them the
were in
ball.
trouble till the red card came, and then, they had mad opportunities. But I feel like
2-0.
I still feel like we struggled with being unorganized when we went down the man. I mean, I didn't play footy. I played American football. I don't know. Maybe Mike could say it, but I'm under the impression every team practices the situation to go down one man because it's something that can happen. We just look disjointed. We look lost. The midfield was getting in the way of the center backs at moments, and we weren't pressuring the ball. Guys that had space to pass it around. They had space to just. I mean, they had open looks. They had open looks many times, and what kills me, we're still struggling off set piece stuff. I mean, that's stuff we can control. It's just disappointing. I understand.
In the end, Copenhagen's still professional footballers, and they struck when it was the time to strike, and it's just disheartening that our defense and our midfield is just nowhere. I love that Varane came on. Obviously, we're losing Evans, which is he's an aged player, but it's just still a shame that he goes down in a Champions League game, which he shouldn't have been in the first place. I think Varane should have always started, but for some reason, Ten Hag didn't think that he needed to start. But we're totally missing a center back in Martinez and a left back in Shaw. Not that that's an excuse because we have plenty of players that should be adequate. And whether you play on the right or the left, whether you're right foot or left foot, you should be able to play any position in the back, just like Shaw was able to play center back and left back when Martinez was hurt in the beginning, and then when Varane was hurt, Shaw stepped in and was able to play center back as well. It's it's just disheartening that these players aren't two-way players anymore. They can only play one position in Delo not being able to play the left back, or Wan-Bissaka not being able to play left back, because they're both right-footed players, which is understandable. But you should be able to play defending, and no matter what situation you're in, you should be able to defend, whether you're on the left side or the right side. And it's just disheartening to watch the dismemberment of going up from 2-0 to being to in the end losing what was it, 4-3? And it's just
4-3.
it's just
Okay, now
disheartening.
I can read my little comments here.
Yeah,
Stuff.
what did Bandito say? Bandito said something I didn't quite read it. I
Said no
can't.
one seems to be organizing the teammates, and that's a great point, Bandito. I don't feel like there's a lack of communication going on with the team, and I don't understand with such a veteran group where we don't communicate well. It's very disheartening. I just you just can't explain this stuff because winning teams, even in any sport, you have to communicate with each other. When things are tough, you want to talk to each other, rely on each other, make sure everybody's on the same page. And that's why I feel like I don't want to say this team doesn't care, but this team they're not taking accountability on themselves to be like, okay, let me make sure this guy in the same possession. I mean, especially for the logo, if you watch it, he's so narrow, meaning that he's so in tight that the guy, he looks at him, then he lets the guy goes untouched behind him. Someone should have been like, Delo, go out wider, watch that man. We are not being accountable as a team, and it's letting itself down. It's little things. Communication, it breaks up marriages, it breaks up friendships, it breaks up teams, and we're not a team that communicates well. And that means when you don't communicate, you don't care. And I hate to say this about our team, but they're coming off like a bunch of guys who are individuals. We've seen
We're just in it for the money.
we've seen a core group of these guys get three coaches fired. It could be a situation where we have guys who are not really who we want them to be. We might be putting them on the pedestal, made them bigger. But the thing is, when you lose in this fashion, when you're up to tie the game and go out and get the lead, you have to finish this game out. Let me see what Michael says again.
2 lines of 4 and number 9.
Mike. Everybody knows this. 2 lines of 4 and no 9 atop in the defense. Yeah, we know this. Well, that's what he did. That's how we ended it. We had no strikers, nothing, no attacking, and that's still worse. We went defensive, and guys were still out of position. I watched the end of it, and there was a time where Sofane crashed into Maguire, and I'm like, why are you even that far deep? The guy had a clean shot, a clean cross, and no one is even pressuring the guy crossing the ball. We found every way possible to lose this game.
And then on the counter attack, when we crossed it in, there was no one in the attacking center to be able to connect with the ball that was being played in. It's just frustrating that there's no attacking penetration from the wingers when we cross it in. There's no attacking in the middle. Even when Højlund and Bruno were in the match, how many times was the ball played into the center where there was nobody in the center to be able to be on the end of it?
Yeah, we are still doing a lot of long balls instead of build up play. Delo getting narrow on the switch and zero help on the wide. Schoolboy defending. Thank you, Michael. You said it more eloquent than me. It's just bad fundamentals, and when you hear guys like Sabitzer say, "I love playing for Eric Ten Hag because he's so detail oriented. He knows everything he wants to do," and then you see guys come out there and they're not fundamental sound. That means guys are checking out. That means guys are not.
They're not articulating what he's trying to teach.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, they can't.
They're not
mentally not strong.
He's up here and they're down here. They're not.
Yeah, and I think what's happening is Ten Hag's not the problem. These players are the problem. They're not mentally strong enough for him. They're not. They can't handle his tactics, and it's just shocking. Yeah, Crumble FC, and it hurts
He's
because it
too
hurts because
smart for this club. His tactics are above them. They're not understanding what he's trying to tell them. It's
I know VAR
it's
is not an
apparent
excuse.
now.
We
Right.
shouldn't use VAR excuse, but here's the little thing I posted so far this season. Man United has had 6 goals disallowed, conceded 6 penalties, and had 2 red cards, 7 subjective decisions against them by VAR. While only being given 1 penalty and having 1 subjective decision given for them by VAR in all comps. We
Yeah.
haven't been good enough this season, so we can't do Arteta and just blame the VRS. But this season, we've had 0 luck. And it doesn't, I mean, it's hard to say it's a coincidence, but it's a shitty coincidence, that VAR screwed us. Champions League is a big reach for us now. It's a huge reach. Bruno came out and said, we have an uphill climb. He said, we'll climb that hill. We cannot come back from this. Unless when Michael and them go down to Turkey, you guys better bring your lucky shoes, your lucky hats, your lucky, I don't know, gum. I was going to say lucky condoms, but all of them are married.
in the end, I think with us losing this match, it doesn't matter what happens next. I don't think we're moving forward in this.
No, we're the bottom of it. We need help.
Way we can even get third, let alone second. We'd have to beat Galatasaray and Bayern our next 2 matches. We'd have to beat both teams with multiple goals.
Yeah, that's the goal differential is an issue too.
We'd have to win both matches by more than 2 goals.
It's just so disappointing, isn't it? I mean, the highs and the lows of this one. I
don't even want to go to Europa League. I don't even want to go to Europa League.
Yeah, I know.
We're not doing anything there either.
Bro, I was at work and this young, beautiful bird, shout out to the beautiful bird who came in my office. She was like, are you crying? I don't know if I was crying, but there was a look on my face of like, because I knew it was over. I don't want to say it was over, but I just knew the Champions League is such an uphill challenge for us right now. It just seems tough. Everything went against us. When you're not controlling your own destiny, when you're not being aggressive, when you're not being when you're not taking accountability, these things happen to you. When you're not controlling your destiny, when you're not being yourself and put in a good position, when you're not getting away with your teammate, when you're not just kicking long balls, these things happen to you. When you just relying, I'm so mad for Rasmus. I feel so disappointed for him.
He had so many chances to get that 3rd goal, and it was just not. And it wasn't his fault. It just wasn't happening. Like he wanted it so bad the first half hat trick, which is very hard to do, and he almost had it twice.
Mike just said the season's lost, and it's not lost till Boxing Day. I don't think our season's off though. Champions League.
I think our Champions League is over, but I think we can. With that being said, if our Champions League is over, that means we can put all our focus onto the league, and then we can try to get top 4 again. It's not a bad thing that we're out of Champions League and out of Europa League. We can just put all our focus into the Premier League, which to me is not a bad thing. Then we can go full force. Then we can go full force into the Premier League and get ourselves back into top 4 contention.
Are you concerned about players like Mount and Sofane who have not, guys that we really wanted and they're just not, how can I say, they're not
panning out?
Yeah, they're not panning out. They're not fitting in.
It's hard to come from, well, for Mount, there's no excuses. But for Amrabat, he came from a league where he's not used to the way that the Premier League is.
Yeah, I think he's realizing how
and is played, and he's finding that out, which is fine. And it may take a season and a half for him to figure it out, which is fine. He still is a great player because he was so good in the World Cup. but he's got to get up to par, which he has the time to do it. It's just because we're Manchester United and because we're one of the best clubs of all time in Europe and in Premier League, it makes you have to get to that point very, very quick and very fast. And he will get there because he's a very smart and strategic player. It's just taking him a little longer because Premier League is a very hard league. Most fans don't understand how elevated and how tough the Premier League is, and he will get there. We have to give him time, but his time is short because of who we are as a club.
But it's
and
also
who
time
we
to short
are.
because he's on a loan, and we haven't
Right.
even bought him yet. So he's still auditioning for the team.
Right.
Let's go. Let's go from goalie to attack. What would you say? What would you rate Onana's play today? You think
The penalties obviously weren't his fault. It's hard to, in gameplay, it's hard to pick the right decision. It's a 50-50 chance. He chose the wrong way. The saves that he did make were quality but normal saves. He had some good saves, and some of them maybe he should have gone on to, but I mean, I don't think he had a poor performance. I just think in the end our defense let him down, if anything. But it's hard to say that he had a bad game or a match, which he didn't. And
yeah?
even our defense, other than our wingers,
Is yours on?
our two center backs to me didn't have a bad game. It's just we got dealt the bad hand on everything. Deflections, you can't fight a deflection. It's part of the mat. It's part of the game, and we just got called on it because the referee wanted to be the 13th man. When we went down a man, he just wanted to play part of the game, and he had a stick up his ass about United, and that's there's nothing you can do about that. You win some, you lose some, and he didn't want it. He didn't want anything to go towards United because in the opposite way, there were some handballs on Copenhagen that he didn't give, and that's just that's the way the cookie crumbles. In the words of Jim Carrey.
What did you think about? Did you talk about the defense? What do you think about Delo's play overall?
I think he was lacking the tenacity
The
of discipline, and I think he was going forward too much. I think he should have. I know he's more of an attacking winger, but I think he should have let Wan-Bissaka go forward.
Let's go back to that point. You saying Delo is an attacking winger, and I get you. I feel like I don't. I'm going to say something wild. Y'all can check me. I don't see how much he's better than Aaron Wan-Bissaka at attacking. Aaron Wan-Bissaka today showed me a lot of patience. He was part of that buildup where that was Rashford who passed it to McTominay, who passed it to Rasmus. My point is,
yeah, go ahead.
I don't think Aaron Wan-Bissaka is doing a bad job. One thing he doesn't do, he doesn't turn over the ball, and he always makes the right pass. And then he always puts himself in a position to receive a pass, which is one thing I like, because that shows he's confident to get the ball. But I would like to see Reguilon get some run. I would like to see Reguilon get some play.
Once Reguilon, Malacia, and Shaw come back, there's no way that Delo is going to start over Wan-Bissaka. But one thing that Delo does do better than Wan-Bissaka is his striking and his crossing. Now, regular play, regular back and forth passing, Wan-Bissaka is better. But when it comes to crossing and the right foot, Delo does have a better right foot when it comes to crossing and striking. But that doesn't mean Wan-Bissaka can't do it. And Wan-Bissaka is tenfold a better defender, and he can pass the ball when it's tiki-taka. Wan-Bissaka definitely has the better foot, and he's like a spider. We were calling him Spider all day today. I was calling him Spider all day today when he's defending. He's like
How was the mood at the pub? Uh-oh.
a way better defender than Delo, but as far as getting forward and crossing, Delo's a little bit better. But I think is better than Delo, so that's why he's been starting.
How was
Over, it's
the
just
mood at
that
the pub?
Delo.
I didn't mean to change the subject. How was the vibe of the pub? Okay, that great. What'd you think about Harry Maguire's play?
House of Football. That's all I got to say.
Oh, that's where you went.
No, House of Football is closed, but they're partnering with Cat and Fiddle. So
Okay, I got you.
the
How'd you think about Maguire's
it's
play?
what's his name from House of Football, the guy that was
Okay, we'll talk about this. We'll talk about that later.
Whatever.
What'd you think about Maguire's play?
It's Maguire. He played as well as he could. The handball was atrocious. It was a terrible call. There's nothing you can do about that.
Was it atrocious?
I think it was because it was a deflection off of another person. Regardless if it's our player or not, it's a deflection off of another person, and
okay,
especially if your hands like it's all in the eyes of the beholder.
Yeah.
I don't think he had a terrible match. He had some really good. He had a goal that they drew back, that they called back.
Maguire
or at
did?
least an assist to a goal.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, because that ball that was played off his head that we went back into the center and was scored, I think they called that back, didn't they?
But went off his head, center, and scored.
It went off his head, centered back, and I think they called it off, right?
I don't know which one you're talking about, bro.
I think it was.
I know he did a header and it looked good, and they blocked it. But let's not dwell on it. What do you think about Rafael Varane's play? What do you think about Rafael Varane's play?
I mean, he's just coming back from injury. I thought he did fine. It was just another, it could have been his handball
about his body language, though. Something about his body language is funky.
I think he's over it. I think he doesn't want to be at the club anymore, but I think he's still. Let me take that back. I don't think he doesn't want to be at the club. I just think he knows that everything's against United right now. So it's very frustrating to be a United player in that we're not getting the correct calls and then we're not getting the correct momentum. And
That's a good
some
word.
of the players,
That's a very good word.
aren't playing to the best of their will.
We just cannot get momentum right now. We can't get a good roll going. Something good happens to us.
He's just frustrated.
Something good happens to us, and then it's like the old adage they say. What's the thing they say? One step forward and we take two steps backwards. It might be I don't know, Fish, you keep going out. It might be my shit over here because my Wi-Fi we're having problems. It completely went black.
Someone's trying to call me. Sorry.
Oh, that's what it is? Who is it? Is it your clothes salesman?
It's my significant other.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. We'll wrap it up in about 10 minutes. We'll wrap it up. So we both agree Aaron Wan-Bissaka played fine. Let's go to the midfield. Let's get a recruit. What do you think about Scotty's play? Scott, it's hard. You know what? Fuck this.
I think Scotty was fine. He plays his heart out. It's just when it's Scotty and Eriksson, there's no defensive presence. And even when it was Amrabat, Amrabat is a defensive player, but he was on the left. To me, a defensive player plays on the right. He should have switched McTominay and Amrabat to play on the left as a defensive mid. I know it doesn't really matter, but to me, a defensive mid should play on the right. And I don't know. I just feel like coming from the left, you're more of an attacking player when you play on the left. To me, I don't know, in my own mind, if I'm an attacking, not the the literal sense of an attacking midfielder. But if I'm on the left center mid
Yeah.
and I'm playing another attacking role, I believe the
You're
left hand,
well hammered, aren't
the
you?
left side is more of an attacking role than the
You
right side.
are
I don't know.
well
I think it's
matched.
because Roy Keane played on the right and he was a defensive
I
mid, and
love
to
it.
me, just always the right hand side is more of a defensive position
Okay, what do you think
than the
about
left hand.
Ericsson's play? It's hard to judge though.
He was fine. He just was really nowhere. Like there was no. He was
I didn't see a
invisible
need to
to
take
me.
him off. Honestly, I didn't see a need to take him off.
But I think there needed to be more of a defensive presence. It's so hard to come in and there was just, even with Amrabat coming on, there was just no.
Listen, I hear what you're saying about Aaron back coming. We're bringing in the defensive presence, but I saw Sofane getting in the way of people. What are you doing? Oh God. Okay, bro. Your wife's calling you. Well, let's call it. Let's call it a show. I don't want to get in trouble with your wife. This dude he's blocking out the Derek. This Ross Clot. He's blacking out the live stream because his wife is calling him. So look at the picture. It's black. What is going on?
What is happening?
Oh my Lord. Folks, no matter what you say, it's a tough game. It's a tough loss. It hurts. Oh, I thought you were gone. Derek was taking your spot.
I had to pick up because there's
Yeah, I get it.
calling me too
I get
much.
it. I get
gotta
it.
go
We
in
don't
like
have to do
5
much
minutes.
more. What do you think about Bruno's play?
I thought his penalty kick was monstrous. It was a good one.
Oh God!
It was such a great goal.
And there we go again.
In the end, he plays his heart out. Whether you like him or not, he still gives 110%. He plays for the badge and he plays his heart out. And yeah, he may bitch and moan, but it's only for to I don't know what the word is. It's only to help United, and it's only
Okay, I know what you're saying.
to progress United. It's only to help out United. But
I think he just shows how much he cares, and I don't think it's anything like.
And it's hard to hate on him as much as people do. They're
People
all haters,
do hate on him,
which
people
I understand. I completely understand. But to me, I'm a Bruno fan. I'm a Bruno supporter. So while I do get upset with him in some of the decisions that he makes, in the end, it's for United.
Yeah,
there's nothing wrong with his play.
I think Bruno's taking a lot of flack, and I think it has more to do with the team not playing well, and he's our captain, and everybody's putting it on him. And I just don't like it. I understand. My point is, I don't think Bruno's the problem. Yeah, he's had some moments when he's playing bad, but I just think let's just finish everybody the rest. Rasmus played great. I loved him. Rashford got a red card. Couldn't really judge.
I think he could have played better. I think he could have played better. He played well. He didn't play bad, but I think he could have played better. He had a bang on. Well, not a bang on. He had a above par. He had to me, he had like a 7.0 match, which is above average, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah, I mean, you can say he had an assist on Rasmus' second goal because he banged it across the goalie, and the goalie had to deflect it. So he did the right thing.
Which was selfish in my mind, but it panned out. But I think he still should have somehow passed it off to Rasmus. But in the end, it panned out, and everybody's saying sometimes selfish is okay. But in that instance, I think you should always look for the center. When they're closing you down, you should always look for the center ball. But luckily, it panned out, which it didn't matter because it was a fuckery after that. So there was nothing you could have done after that.
So let's go. What if you're Ten Hag? What are you thinking right now? What do you think? Ten Hag's
United versus the world. That's what I'm thinking.
He's got to rally the troops.
We're just stacked up against the whole world. We're not going to get the calls that we used to. We're not the club that we used to in the fact that we get the benefit of the doubt. We get the calls.
Well,
VAR
there used to be
is
a
not going to help
respect.
us at
People used to
all.
have a lot of respect for us, and I don't think that respect is there. And I
Right.
think people had it was a respect and fair combination where people were like, "Well, we don't want to let them down because it's such a massive club." But now I feel like people look at it like, "Yeah, they're a massive club, but um,
Some
that's something in
people
the
think we're
past.
not
They're
a
living in
massive
the
club
past.
anymore.
That's some past shit. That's not this team. This listen.
Right.
I think people know who we are. We have overpaid players. We have guys that who will drop their head and quit. We have guys who are over the hill. And then whatever young talent we have, they're really too young to lead and progress. I'm not talking about Garnacho, Rasmus. Um, that's about as far as we go as young talent. I mean, playing. Palestra
We have
didn't play.
we
But
have
the thing
plenty of
is,
good talent. It's just we got to give them a chance, and it's hard to when you're stacked up against when your first team is stacked up in the way that we are. It's hard to let um our kids play because they don't know how to play with frustration and tenacity as much as the first team, and they're going through trouble. So it's hard to play Manu, Kobe. It's hard to play Palistri. It's hard to play Ahmad when he comes back, and the schoolboys who are coming onto the team. There's a bunch of good talent. It's just it's hard to play them when they're so young because tenacity is plays a huge role
well,
in being a first team player, and it's
I
hard
don't
to
think they have
when
a
it
problem with
weighs down on
tenacity.
you.
I don't think they have a problem with tenacity. I think they have a problem when you're young is controlling that tenacity and when to use it, when to be calm, when to explode. Because when you're young, you just want to attack everybody, and sometimes you have to be able to have the awareness and set guys up and to put them in. I think Palestra does a good job of it, using space.
Yeah.
Um, always fighting, understanding if a play goes bad, you don't give up. I like Palestri a lot. I think he shows a lot of good.
Play the kids. We have nothing to lose now. Play the kids. Play all the
Well,
kids.
it's not
We have
about
nothing to
that.
lose.
This is. I'm gonna end it on this. We can end it on this. Ten Hag needs to find out who his best players are, and I don't think he knows that yet.
Which we won't find out
We're still
because we're still injured. We
we're
all a
still
lot of
injured.
our injured players will still be our first team players, and we have to find that out in the second half of the season, and
God,
that's what we're banking on.
Martinez out hurts.
Martinez and Shaw.
It
I
hurts.
mean, it hurts.
I mean, because our
Casemiro's
defense is.
out till next year. It's a lot. It's a lot.
I don't see Casemiro as a loss right now. He just has not. He hasn't done anything this year. And every time Casemiro's played, I think we've lost. And no, we've won one. But Casemiro has not been that positive force. And I don't know if he shot his wad from last season, but his legs look gone. Him
He
and
played a
Varane,
lot. He played a lot last season.
he did. And him and Varane have not been those guys this year. And I made a comment. Someone is like, I can see Varane and Casemiro leaving us next year. I said it wouldn't be a bad idea if we went younger.
Then you go back to Real Madrid and still be great players because they're such a good team. It's like we don't have
The talented depth, you
the
can say the
talented
quality
depth,
depth, that
quality
quality.
as Real Madrid has,
We
and
have a
Jude
lot of guys that,
Bellingham and Vinicius Junior. Like it's so hard to compare us with a top tier team right now because we just don't have the quality right now. Which we have the quality of players, but we just don't have the quality in play.
and
Like
that's
there's
just like,
something wrong with our play. Like
and
they're talented and they're good. It's just putting it together. It's just not there, and that's what I'm gonna leave on.
that's why you
We
need to
have
give
the
Eric Ten
talent.
Hag more. That's why we need to give Eric Ten Hag more props because he's
We need to
holding
be
it together.
ruthless. We need to be ruthless like the others team that are ruthless and where they're not good enough. Let's just trade them and get rid of them and bring in the next. Bring in the next. Pep and Klopp would not be good in our club right now. Everybody
Nobody
says,
would.
"Oh, how good Pep is and how good Klopp are." If they were on our club, they would be the same as Ten Hag. They would be the same shit management as Ten Hag because it's not always about the management. It's about the way. It's about the top and the way the structure is from the top down.
I love it.
Klopp and Pep would be no better than Ten Hag.
And on that note, we'll end it on that. This has
Glazers
been
out.
Fish. Glazers out. Well, you know what? Okay, this is another thing. You're gonna have to get used to Glazers for the next 3 years, but we will talk about that in another video. That's Fish. I'm Case. This is 1878 Casuals. It's a kick in the nuts. The season has been a long kick in the nuts, and this is just another extended kick in the nut right here. Pretty much out the Champions League. We have a small chance to stay in it, but it's going to take a lot of character, discipline, fight, and unity for this team to come back out of this hole they're in. I want to believe they can do it.
Mumia.
And Red Devil Threads. I want to say this team has a fight, but it's yet to be shown. Up the fucking Reds. We love United. Hate Glazers. Fish, have a good evening. Say hi to the wife for me.
Thank you, bro. You too.
All right, one. Oh, God.